Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today doing the What's Next on undefeated, unified light heavyweight champion of the world, Artur Beterbiev, following an impressive 9th round TKO victory over Marcus Browne as he retained his unified championship in a mandatory fight. And in a fight he had to work hard for. Him and Browne had a bad clash of heads that cut open Beterbiev badly on his forehead, and he was pretty much a face full of blood the whole fight. But he was down on the scorecards early and knew that if the fight got stopped, that it would go to the scorecards for a technical decision and that he could lose. So he put his foot on the gas pedal. He pressed Marcus Browne. Browne still had his moments and did well, but once that fight hit about the middle, of it, the middle rounds, Beterbiev just kept stalking and took the fight over and ended up stopping Marcus Browne impressively, in the 9th round, and is still the unified light heavyweight champion. And for me, especially because Dimitri Baval wasn't impressive, super impressive this year, I have put Beterbiev solidly ahead of Dimitri Baval. It was close before, and heading into the year, I had Baval as the #1 light heavyweight in the world. Now, I think Beterbiev's proven with the win over Marcus Browne that he's deserving of the top spot. And so now the big question is, what's next for Artur Beterbiev following that big win? Well, as I see it, he's in optional mode. He made the WBC mandatory. Prior to that, he made an IBF mandatory earlier in the year. But I was wondering if the IBF had another mandatory, and they don't. Their rankings are completely messed up right now. You got Joshua Buatsi is trying to get in line for the WBA belt. But he'd probably be the first one that might be able to declare a mandatory position, and that fight could pop off towards the middle summer of next year. But Beterbiev might be able to get a defense off prior to that, and the question is, who's it going to be? So let's run through the top 10 and see what's possible for the undefeated and unified light heavyweight champ. Excuse me. Beterbiev's #1. #2 is Dimitri Baval. A unification bout is something we've been wanting to see for a couple of years now between these two. It almost happened in 2020, but didn't materialize. But the fight that, I don't think it's going to happen next, because I think the WBA is going to order Baval to fight Gilberto Ramirez. And that just builds towards an eventual undisputed fight. It sucks because these two guys are the top two dogs, but if they got to clear the division up a little bit, then I'm all for that. But it's not going to happen next between Beterbiev and Baval. #3 is Joe Smith Jr., the WBO champion. That's a fight everybody wants to see, but Joe Smith seems to have his first 2 fights of the year locked up. He's fighting Callum Johnson in a couple weeks, and if he gets through that fight, with the title, he's got to fight Anthony Yarde towards the middle of the year. Those are 2 tough bangers right there from the United Kingdom, and Callum Johnson and Anthony Yarde. So if Joe Smith is, when the smoke clears from those 2 fights, is still available, then maybe a Beterbiev fight is possible. But I definitely don't see it happening next. It looks like, the earliest that fight could happen would be towards the end of the year in 2022. So I'm not seeing a unification between those 2 anytime soon. #4 now is Maxim Blassoff. This one's interesting. Blassoff fought for the WBO title against Joe Smith. Almost beat him. He lost a close majority decision. So why not him and Beterbiev if Beterbiev can't get another big name opponent? And I think it's going to be tough for him. So I think Maxim Blassoff, who just fought and stayed busy and got a victory, he was supposed to fight Joshua Buatsi. I say fight Blassoff and go show yourself against him. And then really that just clears up the division even more, because Blassoff almost beat Joe Smith. That was a close fight. Joe Smith's the WBO champion. So if Beterbiev can't land a big name, I think Maxim Blassoff makes a lot of sense, and I will go after him. #5 is former super middleweight champ Callum Smith. I like this matchup right here, but I'm not sure Eddie Hearn wants to put Callum Smith in there with Beterbiev. I think it's Callum Smith's second fight at light heavyweight, I don't know if Beterbiev's the right guy for him to fight. I'm going to say no to this one. I like the opponent. I think it'd be good for Beterbiev to fight Callum Smith, especially prove himself. Maybe he can knock Callum Smith out where Canelo couldn't. But still, I don't think Eddie Hearn wants to put Callum Smith in there against Beterbiev. Not next anyways. Now, number 6, I believe was Gilberto Ramirez, the undefeated former super middleweight champ. He's in line to fight Dimitri Baval. He's the #1 contender in the WBA, and I think that's what he's going to get next, so I don't think this one's possible. Number 7 is Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde is in line to fight the winner of Joe Smith and Callum Johnson, and I think that's a smoother avenue for Anthony Yarde than running head-on with Artur Beterbiev. Anthony Yarde just got a win earlier in December anyways, so he's okay with waiting around to see what happens between Joe Smith and Callum Johnson. So I don't see Beterbiev and Yarde being possible. After that, at number 8, you got Artur Alvarez, the former WBO champion. I wouldn't completely rule it out, but I don't think Alvarez, unless he comes back and shakes off that ring rust this month coming up in January, then maybe he's a possibility for Beterbiev. But I don't know if Artur Alvarez wants to rush himself back into it against Beterbiev after the way he got handled against Joe Smith back in last year in 2020. So I'm not seeing it next, but I wouldn't completely rule it out if Alvarez came back and got a victory. Number 9 is Marcus Browne. Yeah, that's not possible. That's not going to happen. Beterbiev's not going to fight him again. There'd be no point. And then number 10 is Gonzalez, who fought his ass off against Gilberto Ramirez. Wouldn't completely rule it out, but I don't know. But Gonzalez is a dangerous puncher, and I'm not sure in a stay busy fight, so to speak, while he looks ahead for a unification, I'm not sure if Bob Arum wants to put Beterbiev in there against an opponent like that. So I'm going to lean towards a no. So at the end of it, the most logical opponent that I see for Beterbiev, honestly, is Maxime Blassoff. I think that fight makes the most sense for Beterbiev next. After that, you got possibly Gonzalez and possibly Artur Alvarez that would be available. But I really think Beterbiev should look at the Blassoff fight. He fought his ass off against Joe Smith, lost a close decision. This would only keep him on the throne at light heavyweight even more if he took the fight with Blassoff and stopped him impressively or decisively, where Joe Smith couldn't. And hey, the guy's 17-0 with 17 knockouts. He's going to go for the knockout against Blassoff. So that's another challenge in itself right there to see if he can knock Blassoff out. So I definitely think this fight is possible right there. Beterbiev's coming off a big win, and hopefully it leads to other big fights to take place in the coming year. But that's the what's next, guys, on unified light heavyweight champion and undefeated Artur Beterbiev following a big win over Marcus Browne to retain his unified light heavyweight championship. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.